Hey guys, welcome back to the WK podcast. My name is Michelle, and today I'm joined by
Zoe.
Woo!
Hey guys.
We'll be diving into the wonderful Victoria Sinis's story today. Big welcome. Hello.
Hi. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming on. Yeah. Where are you from again?
I'm from Australia.
Hey, come on now.
Yeah.
If any of you guys are listening from Australia, put a little Australian flag emoji into the comment section. Victoria used to work for one of the biggest, Australia's biggest OnlyFans agency. And I'll leave you guys with that before we get into the story. But if you're tuning in on YouTube, make sure to subscribe, comment down below something. But if you're listening on Spotify and Apple Podcast, make sure to give us a rating and comment, because our mandate over here, our mission at The Way is to reach every young person with the good news of Jesus. And in you doing that, you're helping us do that too. So yeah, roll the credits. Yeah, Victoria, like I mentioned briefly before, like you worked for one of the biggest like OnlyFans agencies in Australia. Could you tell us a little bit more of like what was that experience like for you?
Yeah. Wild. Absolute madness. Yeah, I guess maybe it's like interesting for people to understand exactly how I got involved in that world.
Go for it.
And then I think also it's really interesting, helpful for people to understand what is OnlyFans and what is agencies, because to be honest, not many people actually know what they are.
Yeah, I don't really know.
Yeah. Okay, great. So
you're teaching me.
Welcome to the classroom. No. For me, what had happened is, exactly. I ended up helping build one of the biggest OnlyFans agencies in Australia. And so how I got involved in this was my background is actually in business and specifically startups. And I was helping one of my friends build hospitality restaurants. And for anyone watching who's worked in hospitality, they know how brutal it is. It's a tough gig. And we were working like 100-hour work weeks for like months and months and months on end. Yeah, it was wild. And like literally like building restaurants.
Wow.
Yeah. And so it got to a point where I was like, I am exhausted. I cannot do this anymore. I need a holiday. And so I went overseas to Europe for a month. And while I was in Europe, I had another friend start this thing called an OnlyFans agency. And the reason why they decided to start the agency is they already had friends in Australia that were some of the biggest OnlyFans creators that we had at the time. Huge in Australia, really big in America as well. And these girls were complaining about their agency. And so my friend, her background was she's an ex-criminal defense lawyer, so exceptionally brilliant person. And she was like, well, why don't we start our own agency? I know like all the legalities, I can do all those type of things. We already have girls that are in the industry that know what's needed. Why don't we get Vic involved? She's the one that actually has the business background. And so when I came back from my holiday, my friend was like, hey, while you were away, we started this thing called an OnlyFans agency. Would you be interested in helping us to build it? And my lens was like, oh, like I've kind of heard of OnlyFans, but like I didn't really know what it was.
Right.
I was like, I think that maybe you can just like sell your feet on there. Like I don't really know it, like, because that's what we all think to a degree, that it's just like easy money and you can just do something stupid like that. And so I was like, okay. I looked at my friends that were in it and I was like, well, they seem rich. They seem happy. And I don't want to work in hospitality anymore. Like I'm exhausted. I'm done with it. This seems like a really good business idea. And so that's how I got involved in it. And so for people that are like, okay, well, what is OnlyFans? So OnlyFans is the new iteration of pornography that we have in our generation. And it's really important to use the right language because with OnlyFans, it's so manipulated now. OnlyFans content creator, OnlyFans model, like it's like, what does that actually mean?
Right.
And it's like, well, what it means is that you're someone that's doing porn on a porn platform. And we need to make that really clear because that's why there's so much deception around this.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
And so what's really unique about OnlyFans is for the kind of first time ever in history, really, we've never idolized girls becoming porn stars. We've never encouraged this. We've never said that for you to reach the pinnacle of success, do OnlyFans. But that's the generation we live in now, right? If you want to be bougie, if you want to be elite, if you want to have a mad lifestyle, go on OnlyFans, make a bunch of money. And usually when it comes to like sexual exploitation, it's kind of generally women that are in lower socioeconomic status, maybe they're in a really tough position and they believe that their only option is to do is to do sex work.
Yeah.
But what's unique about OnlyFans is that's not the case. So we're actually seeing women that have legitimate career opportunities, have really good educational backgrounds, probably maybe come from even good families. So they don't fit that stereotype anymore, but they're all opting to leave these really good choices to jump on a porn platform in the hopes of becoming rich and famous. And we encourage it. And I think that that's really interesting from like a cultural perspective.
Right.
But that's just the reality of what OnlyFans is. It's a porn platform. And so what an OnlyFans agency is, if we put on like our business brains, with OnlyFans, there isn't like an internal promotional system, right? So you don't have a For You page. You can't go viral on OnlyFans. So what you have to do is you have to externally promote your OnlyFans to pull people in. And so if you think about this, imagine you have girls that have like hundreds of thousands of followers, right? And they're promoting their OnlyFans on their Instagram. Well, the main way that girls promote their OnlyFans is come chat with me in the DMs, come talk to me. And that's why OnlyFans is so much more, I think anyways, popular than, traditional porn, Pornhub, all these different things. Because to some degree, that stuff is like nameless and faceless people in quotation marks. But with OnlyFans, that girl that I follow on IG that I really like and think is really cute, I can now go talk to her on OnlyFans and I can get her to do anything that I want. Like that's wild, right? And so that's the main allure of OnlyFans is the instant messaging, which is really, really important. And so what happens is if you have this girl that's like funneling all of these thousands of followers, right, from her IG to her OF, well, do you think that she can sit there and facilitate all those conversations? Absolutely not, right? But we know that the main allure of OnlyFans is the instant messaging. So what happens is when a girl gets to that point, she has to offset all that work. So that's where an OnlyFans agency comes in.
Okay.
Right.
So technically, the main most important role of an OnlyFans agency is to impersonate being the girl on her behalf to make as much money as possible on the account.
Right.
Yeah, wild.
Wow. Yeah.
And so, for people watching, you're not talking to the girl. You're talking to some dude in the Philippines, and we'll get into that.
Wow.
Wow.
It's crazy.
Wow.
And so it's so important, right? Because immediately it shatters the illusion of OnlyFans. It's this allure, again, of I can go talk to this girl. She's so easily accessible. It's the girl next door vibe, whatever you want to call it. And it's like, no, it's not. It's so much deception already just in this part. And it's so important for people to understand that.
Yeah.
But what happens when you kind of work at an agency, or I guess the main framework and structure of the specific agency I was at is this first part, so account management. So again, your main role is to impersonate being the girl. And so what you need to do is when you onboard a girl, she comes through this thing called like a questionnaire.
Okay.
And so what you need to do is get as much information as possible about the girl because you're impersonating her, right? So you need to find out every single little detail that there is about her, from like her favorite color, her favorite food, like how many family members does she have, whatever, all the way down to the most intricate, intimate details that you can possibly think of, right? And so within that, what I think is really important is, I don't know if you guys hear this, but a lot of people say that OnlyFans is like the more liberating option. It's the safer option.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Yeah, it gives girls the power and all of that. Well, you're like, wait, does it?
Yeah, I was like,
I'm glad you're agreeing with me because otherwise people are going to be like, what? Nah. But like, that's kind of what our culture tells us. But even just within the questionnaire, that's already so shattered because we have this thing in it called levels. And this is really important for a lot of people to understand if they believe that OnlyFans kind of takes the predatory nature out of sex work and does make it liberating and does make it empowering. Because to be honest with you, I've even had Christians tell me that they thought that it was the better thing for girls to do. So this is how, I work in activism now, and I'm sure we'll get into it. But I even have people that work fighting against sex trafficking say, well, I thought OnlyFans was the better option for girls. So we would say, instead of doing like, traditional prostitution, why don't you do OnlyFans? So that's why this is so important, because no matter kind of what sphere you're in, people really do believe that this is a better option, that we're progressing, that we're making ethical porn, that we're doing things a safer way. And it's like, no, this is the same thing. It's just in a different outfit.
My word.
So that's why it's so important to like understand these little things, right?
Yeah.
And then hopefully for your listeners, they can also be equipped when they're in their spheres and someone brings this stuff up. It's like, wait a minute, I listened to some Aussie girl on a podcast. That's not true. Let me tell you the truth. But so within the questionnaire, there's these things called levels. And the levels is what level of content are you comfortable doing? And basically it goes all the way from like Instagram, bikini, lingerie, all the way down to everything you can think of. And the reason why that's so significant is because what does that do psychologically to a girl? If we say that she has consent, this is her full autonomy. Well, if she's looking at these levels and she's going, well, if I tick level 1, does that mean I have to get to level 5 to be successful? Does that mean that I have to jump in these scales? But what if I'm only comfortable doing this? Does that mean I have to do that now? And that's what would happen. I have a friend who was very, very big in OnlyFans, and word for word said, I never would have done the things I did if I didn't have an agency that was coercing me into doing them.
No way.
And so this is why it's really, again, significant to understand this. And so within these levels as well, the culture behind the scenes in management was if a girl was complaining about how much money she was making, we would check her level. And so we would be like, oh, well, what does she expect? She's only level 1. And so then that's when you'd be like, babe, but maybe you should go collaborate with this person, or you should do that. Or have you ever considered trying a different style of content? So you're not inadvertently saying it, but you are, you know? And I think that's really important as well, because what we had realized over a period of time is that if you were a level 1, which is like the Instagram content, which is wild in itself to say, just think about that. You made the least amount of money. And so it was actually my idea. I said, let's get rid of level 1. And so level 2 is implied nudity. So one of the main things that I hear, I don't know about you guys, is again, this, I think you can just jump on there and sell your feet, like, and make easy money.
Yeah.
Well, already you're now inaugurated into this system where I think I'm just going to sell some like cute feet pics, but now my level 1 is implied nudity. Wait a minute. I didn't think I had to get naked on this platform. I thought that I could just do something like that, or like my cute little outfits that I post on IG, I could put them on OF, but you're telling me now that I need to get naked online, and that's my level 1? Oh, this isn't what I thought it was. And there's millions, there's 4.5 million content creators on OnlyFans.
Wow.
Yeah. And so it's like, that means I wonder how many potentially millions of women thought that it was going to be this one thing. And again, I've had friends tell me that. I thought that I could jump on OnlyFans. I ended up having to do more and more and more, and I made no money, and then I had to get it down, but it's up there forever. Like, what do I do? And that's more of a common narrative than the ones who make it big. Out of 4.5 million people on OnlyFans, only 300 make more than $1 million a year. So the margin is really, really small for success. The average wage is actually $180 a month. Yeah.
What?
Isn't that wild?
That is crazy.
Yeah, because we all think you'll jump on OnlyFans, you'll make all this money, it's super easy, but it's just not true.
Wow.
Yeah.
Such a big facade.
Yeah, it's madness,
Oh my
isn't
gosh, Yeah. Wow. Sorry.
it? Yeah.
I'm actually in shock about that.
Yeah. And guys, like, we're just in like phase 1. We have another 2 phases to go. But
Oh my gosh.
yeah, it's crazy. And so I think, again, it's really important in like shattering this illusion.
Right.
Yeah.
And so what happens from there is you do this questionnaire, and then that gets turned into this thing called a brief. And so you need to make a brief about the girl, because you give it to these things called chatters. And so chatters are people that you put on the accounts that are the ones actually doing the messaging. So they're the ones impersonating the girl. And so their role is sometimes they'll pretend to be like up to 5 OnlyFans girls, and they just jump between all the different accounts, sexting people and building relationships on OnlyFans. And so chatters are literally people that like you hire from third world countries. So mainly India and the Philippines. That's why I said to anyone who's on OnlyFans, you're probably not talking to the girl. You're talking to some guy in the Philippines that's trained in this thing called the girlfriend experience. And their role is a commission-based role. So their role is to sit there and, again, literally make money off the account. And so whatever way they can get money off subscribers, that's what they're to do. but they do it through building relationship. Because again, if the main form of how you make money on OnlyFans is through messaging, well, you can't sit there with someone and every single time you have a conversation with them, it's a sexual conversation, right?
Yeah.
You have to build a relationship with them.
Mm.
So that's what we train them in. Hey, how are you? How was your day? How was Bob at work? What's going on with this? Oh, I bet that was so difficult. Talk to me about it. What's going on here? Why? And then you train them in how to lead all of those conversations into sales. And I still have the same phone from when I worked at the agency. And I was scrolling through these messages maybe like a month ago with one of the chatters, and literally verbatim, one of the chatters said, my sales were low today, so I had to gaslight a fan into buying stuff. Like, this is how manipulated men are being on OnlyFans.
Flip.
Wow.
But they think it's the girl, right? And they think this girl cares about him, and that he's building a relationship and that he's seen it like by this famous Instagram girl. And it's like, it's so fake. And so that's so important for people to know. And even when I've said this to some men, like, no, it wouldn't be blah, blah. I'm like, dude, like really put like your logic brain on right now. Do you really think that that girl who has even 10,000 followers, let's not go like mega hundreds of thousands. Do you really think that she's the one talking to you? And we would have subscribers that would start to pick up on holes in the story, and they'll be like, oh, is this really you? Send me a voice message. Well, the chatter then messages us, and then we message the girl and we get her to send a voice message and then put it on OF. Like, it's so easy to deceive.
Yeah.
And so I think that that's really critical for people that consume OnlyFans to understand and know that literally it's a sales job and the only point is to make money off you.
Flip.
Like, that's it. And so what happens from here is once you've like done the onboarding process and you've gone through like the chatters and giving them the briefs, then the girls would come to me. So my role was the marketing. So because that's my background, I was to help build out the marketing division of the agency. And so because you don't have an internal promotional system on OnlyFans, right? You're promoting on all these different platforms. So I had to figure out, how do we make girls go as viral as possible, as quickly as possible, to be able to pull people into their OnlyFans. And so what we ended up doing is we had actually hired an expert that would study algorithms. And so this guy every single day was sending us very specific, provocative, curated content. And it was like trending sounds, trending hashtags, trending skits, everything you can think of, right? And we were then sending these to the girls. But what I was supposed to do was get them excited for how much content they needed to do, because just for social media. And so again, one of the other things that is a really main argument for OnlyFans is that it's easy work. Well, no, it's not. We would get the girls to say a non-negotiable, you need to have 3 to 5 TikTok accounts. Yeah, wild, right?
Oh.
3 to 5 TikTok accounts.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
And on each of those accounts, every single day, you needed to be posting up to 5 unique videos per account. Imagine having to film like 20 TikToks and edit them every single day and put them, because you guys, I would know, you can't put the same videos on multiple TikTok accounts. It flags it.
Yeah.
So you need to be making
Different.
unique.
Yeah.
You can't put the same
Crazy.
stuff up. So this is what we were telling the girls to do. And literally in like, I guess our rules, I still, like, as I said, I still have screenshots of all of this. Imagine you got hired for a job and the job tells you you have to work 7 days a week. You can't take a day off. That's what we were telling these girls. You have to do this every single day. You can't take a day off. If you take a day off, it's going to ruin all your progress and you have to start again from the beginning. You're not allowed to do any other content besides the content that we tell you to do, because it's targeted, it's specific for these audiences. You need to have this lighting, this angle, this amount of energy, this many body parts. You got to do this. You can't alienate, like all of this. And so again, the lifestyle of OnlyFans is, oh my gosh, it's so free, it's so liberating, it's so cutesy and fun and all of this. It's like, no, there's an agency that is controlling almost everything that they do. And so what we would do from there and actually, no, I think it's really important just for like to give examples of what this type of content was, because a lot of men really fall for it, right?
Yeah.
Specifically on TikTok, because you can't be too like overtly out there. It's so suggestive and it's so subtle, because the whole point is to pique men's curiosity and invoke emotions in them that get them hooked. And I've had guys literally tell me that, Vic, I don't know, it's like I'm on social media, I'm on TikTok, I'm on whatever platform, And then I don't know what happens. Before you know it, I'm just like on a porn platform. I'm like, yeah, dude, that's intentional. Like that's because there's a billion-dollar industry that's doing that and targeting you with these very specific ways to have that happen. And then they feel so much shame. They feel embarrassed. How did I get here? But they keep doing it, right? It's so intentional. And so what you would, an example of one of the ones that I always give is there was like a trending video going at the time. It was like a big vanity, and it had all like the little makeup compacts. So imagine you have like 60 little compacts that have got the mirrors facing up and they're facing you. And you've got this really like sexual song playing in the background. And the phone is just scanning all of those little compacts. It's going back and forth and back and forth. And then the caption says, "Did you see it?" So you go, "Did I see it? Did I see what? What am I supposed to see?" You've got this song, it's making you feel something. And then before you know it, you look in one of the little mirrors and you see like a split second of a girl in lingerie. And then you go, oh, and then you want to see more of it, right? Because you've got all of these feelings and emotions from the song and this and that. And then you jump onto the TikTok and imagine there's like thousands of videos like that. Just little this, little that, little that. Then you want more. So you click onto the Instagram. On Instagram, you can post way more, right? So then now you see even more, but then you go to the story and it says, "Come chat with me." And then before you know it, you're on this porn platform and you have this chatter that's just waiting for you. And then now you're in, right? And so people are like, again, how does it happen? That's how it happens. It's so targeted. And I think that's so important for men to understand because there's so much shame around this for them. There's so much embarrassment. I was speaking at an event last week and I had a man in our Q&A session say that he feels like specifically in faith spaces, he goes, you can talk about your drug problems. You can talk about your alcohol problems. But he goes, as soon as you try and bring up your porn problems or your sexuality problems, no one wants to speak to you. And I think that that's really true for a lot of men. And so I think that that's why it's so important because on these videos, on like a fresh TikTok account, in 7 days, we were getting some of these videos to 2.2 million views.
Whoa.
So this is how massive it is. And that's just one agency in Australia on one account on one video. So imagine the magnitude of how many millions of mega viral videos are out there on the internet that have this specifically targeting men, but yet we don't want to talk about it. And a lot of the times we say that men are bad and it doesn't abdicate responsibility at all. They need to be accountable, but they need to understand how they're being targeted as well. Right. And so that's just TikTok, guys.
Oh my gosh.
And so you can already see the amount of content that's needed just for TikTok. Then again, for Instagram, it's different. Then you can post on Reddit. You can go way more full on Reddit. Then on Twitter, X now. Again, you can do whatever you want. But we were promoting girls on every platform you can think of. Snapchats, dating apps, every single, if there is a internet platform, there is girls that are being marketed for OnlyFans on it. That's basically how big this is. And imagine how much content you need to do to fulfill all of these. Then you also need to do all your OnlyFans content, which is all different things. You have these things called pay-per-views, custom requests, then you have your actual feed. So the magnitude of content that you need to do and put out every single day is insanity, right? It's more than a 40-hour work week. So again, we're already shattering that illusion that it's easy work and that you can just jump on and take like a couple cute pictures and like make a bunch of money. It's not true. And so then the next part is recruitment. And so from a business model as well, you're always wanting to bring new people in, right? And so the way that you recruit girls for OnlyFans, and this is really important, I guess, for any listeners, maybe even if they're younger and they really feel that pressure. I hear that a lot. I don't know about you guys, from young girls. I have a friend back home in Australia who's 20 and she's in the church and she sent me a message maybe like 2 months ago being like, Vic, I'm so like discouraged. I have had so many people already tell me that I should just like start an OnlyFans and like that should be my career and like that's what I should just aspire to do. And I was like, wait, what? And she's like, yeah, like it just sucks. It makes me feel so like just not good. And I'm like, that's so normal. So normal. And again, this is a girl in the church. Like, so it's so important for people to understand as well that this isn't like a worldly thing and a secular thing. This is just, I speak predominantly in faith spaces. And this is where I see the most impact, to be honest. I have girls that are in tears in my arms very regularly that are like 12, 13 years old, 14, of how much this impacts them. And then because they watch this content on social media, that then they go act out sexually with a boy and do things that they didn't want to do, but that's how they thought that he would like me. And like, how do I deal with the shame? Like all of this. And so it's really important as well, just for anyone listening, that like this is in the church and it's just as big of a problem. And we need to be talking about this because it might not be perhaps that you're going to have these people jump on OnlyFans, but the reality is you might. I say that to parents. You never would have thought that your daughter would maybe go be a porn star, but in our generation, you have to realize that's a reality. It really could happen to your kid. Even if you're in the church, it could happen. But what's even more impactful is even if you're in a youth, you're in a young adult's night, whatever, if you have a phone, you're going to be impacted by this. And so you could be listening in church to all of this, but as soon as you leave the church and you jump on TikTok, how are you navigating that world? And that's why this is so important, because we need to be able to equip our young people in understanding what's happening so then they can make better decisions. And so this is really important for the recruitment part, because what you would do for recruitment is you would scour the internet and you would look for girls that, number one, how old did they look? Because what we realized at the agency is the girl who we would lie and say was fresh 18, she was like 20, 21, but she made the most amount of money. And when we did a little bit of deep diving, we realized that the most searched porn categories is teen, fresh teen, and barely legal.
That makes me so sick.
It's wild, isn't it? And there's a lot of different things we could go down of the reality of this, right? The more we encourage this behavior, there's this thing called the process of escalation. So it's like you might start here, right? But then even like, you know how with the levels, you might start here and then you escalate to here. It's the same with pornography consumption. So you might start here watching something and then you go to this extreme. And we're actually seeing in Australia now that with this kind of, I believe anyways, promotion of this OnlyFans young culture, do you know one of the biggest issues facing our government is the rise of child pornography? Yeah. Our government is inundated. It's actually the police force can't keep up with how many reports are coming in of child porn in our country. And so it's like, can we not understand the direct correlation between the younger, the better? Where does it end? And so this is why it's so important as well. This is such a bigger thing because it's impacting so many different levels, right? And so we had realized that that's what made the most money. So when you're scouring the internet looking for girls, you're looking for how old do they look, but then are they already posting provocative content? That's why it's really important for young people listening to this, girls, like you might think that you're just posting that pic and you're getting a little bit of attention and it's nothing. It's not a big deal. It's just like a bikini. Everyone does that. Everyone posts a gym pic, like whatever. And what you need to understand is like, sweet girl, there are predators online. Yeah. And I know that because that's what we used to do. And it's so easy to target you. You're so obvious. You might not think that you are, but you are. And there's very skilled manipulative people that are going to make you feel seen. They're going to make you feel important. They're going to make you feel beautiful and lead you into this lie that come have this luxurious life. And I know that because we did it and it worked. And so what you would do is you would message these girls, cold message them, either because if they're posting provocative content, what it does is it tells you one of two things. Number one, it tells you that either this girl already has an OnlyFans or she's more likely to do something like OnlyFans. So then you message her from this account, and we were legitimately throwing like bougie parties, like multi-million-dollar mansions. We had the luxury cars, we had the yachts, we had all the things, right? And so imagine you're now getting a message from this account, seeing this fantastic lifestyle, and they noticed you. They think you're really cute. That's what would say, hey, we saw your Instagram. We love your vibe. We think you're really cute. Have you ever considered doing OnlyFans? Or have you ever considered management? And from there, it's so easy to be able to hook these girls in. And if you really wanted a girl, you would get one of the owners to message. So now imagine it's not this account, but now imagine that you've got this OnlyFans famous girl and she's messaging me, wow, I must be special. And I've had people ask like, how much does this work? I'm like, dude, almost everyone's interested. Why wouldn't you be? Like, why wouldn't you want that lifestyle? Why wouldn't you want that? Why wouldn't you want the sisterhood? Like, that's what I mean by it works. So that's why it's really important for our young girls to understand, like, what are you posting? And it's really not worth it at the end of the day, because you might think that's not going to happen to me. But again, if this is one agency in Australia, there's millions of agencies in the world. So we really have to understand that there are predators that are online that are doing this. And as bizarre as this sounds, because one of the owners was an ex-criminal defense lawyer. Like, we understood not to do illegal things. Like, that was very clear.
Yeah.
There's agencies out there that don't have those ethics and morals. So we knew that, you know, no one under the age of 18, but imagine other people that don't care about that. So imagine you have these 14, 15-year-old girls, they're posting all this stuff, and you do have these predators that are, you know, grooming them and bringing them into this and using that naivety. So I know that's really heavy and for people to hear, but I think if you are a young person, maybe you're a parent, maybe you're an aunt, maybe you're a youth leader, it's so important to understand that, because we need to help our young people. As important as it is to say what's happening at school, it's just as important and critical to say what is happening on your phone, what is happening on social media, because that's a whole universe and a world amongst itself, right? And so now we can at least have some awareness and some tools. And even for maybe parents that are in the church, of one of the biggest things I hear is, my kid knows better. Well, do they? Because now we know how influential this is. We know how significant this is. Do they really know better? So maybe you really need to start having those conversations and opening them up to really help protect your children. So that's why that's so significant. And so, yeah, that's basically an agency. They're kind of like the three main elements. That's what my job was. And that's the world that I was in. Yeah.
Wow.
Sure.
That is crazy. Yeah, it's hard not to get emotional, like hearing the realities behind this and how like it's really helpful to actually know and like have the right language to use about OnlyFans, that it is like a porn industry and it's recruiting porn stars, and it's not like a fast track to freedom, to financial freedom and this crazy lifestyle, but it's actually being put under the manipulation and control of all these other people behind the scenes that, you know, see these girls as ways to make money, which is really sad. But I'm so interested to hear how Jesus met you in the midst of that, because from what you were saying, that sounds like a really dark industry that wouldn't have Jesus in it. So I'd just be really keen, and thank you as well for sharing all of that, because I think it's so important to know so that we can ask the right questions to each other and to our young people. Yeah, I just feel more equipped now when those conversations do come up. Like, actually, OnlyFans is not freedom. So yeah, but I'd love to hear, how did Jesus meet you in that? What was that like for you?
Oh my gosh, it's the best story ever. It's my favorite thing to share. But no, I'm so glad, because that's the whole point of this. It's to not overwhelm people, like, but it's like, okay, how can I be equipped to, and how can I navigate this now in my world? But what happened for me is, so we've all heard about the craziness of the life I was living. And along with that lifestyle comes the drugs and the alcohol, right? Like, that's just a byproduct of when you think you're at the top. But for me personally, it was, I'm doing all of the marketing. And what we had realized is that subscribers were starting to see holes in our story. And so that's when we went, oh, I can't just be doing all the marketing and then the OnlyFans account manager over here doing all the OnlyFans account managing. We have to split the girls in half and then now do the full life cycle of both. And so that's when I actually jumped onto the back end of OnlyFans and actually saw what we were doing, because for the first like 8 months, I was just doing the front end. I still wasn't even fully aware of the magnitude of what we were doing behind the scenes. And so when I jumped onto the back end of OnlyFans, that's when I started to realize, oh my gosh, we're selling porn. Like, this is what we're doing. And imagine that it's now my friends. It's girls that I've built relationships with. And even personally, I've actually never been a consumer of pornography. So I'm seeing porn for the first time. It's my friends. And I'm just devastated. I'm like crying every single day. Like, I can't do my job because I'm like, that girl is so smart. That girl is so kind. That girl is so funny. And these are the dreams that we're telling her to dream. Like, we're getting girls out of legitimate jobs, legitimate modeling contracts, all these opportunities, and telling them to do this. And I'm devastated. And I was just like, this doesn't feel good. And so I started to ask questions and ask people at the agency what they think. And I just wasn't satisfied with any of the answers. We have these things back home called safe injecting heroin rooms. I don't know if you guys have them here. It's like a safe place for people to do drugs, basically. And I had someone say, oh, OnlyFans, our agency is like a safe injecting heroin room. People need a safe place to do drugs. We give people a safe place to do porn. Like, all these answers. And I just wasn't satisfied with them. And for me personally, I actually got exposed to cocaine at 13 years old. So I'm 25 at this point. So drugs and alcohol are a huge part of my story. But now at this point, it's actually getting crazy dark. Like I'm staying awake for days on end on cocaine, like because I'm trying to cope with what we're doing, but nothing's working anymore. Nothing's numbing me out. And I just went, I hate my life. I hate what we're doing. This doesn't feel good, but everyone's telling me that like it's me, like I'm the problem. And I'm like, I have to do something to feel better. And so I'm like, what the heck can I do to feel better? And I just had this genius idea. And I went, I know, I'll do like a really extreme act of good. And I'm like, if I do this like wild act of good, that will obviously offset all the bad that I'm doing and that'll like make me feel better. And so I'm like, okay, what's an extreme enough act of good? And I'm like, oh my gosh, you know what's so dramatic? I'll go overseas and I'll help refugees. I'm like, that's so extra. That'll make me feel better. And so at the time we were building the agency, but we were also building a medicinal cannabis company. And that was like my dream business because my background's actually in psychology and alternative medicine. Okay. And so that was like my dream business. And so I was like, okay, you know what? I'll go overseas. I'll help a bunch of refugees. By the time I come back, the cannabis company will be up and running. And then I don't have to work at the agency anymore. And I've like calmed myself out. Genius. And so, and the reason why I love this story, and so for anyone listening as well, is this was in my selfishness. Like I was literally like, I'm going to go there, maybe take some pics for some refugees, like put it on IG, like feel better about myself. Yeah. And like, but that was the tiny little opening that the Lord needed. I wasn't even seeking Jesus. I was just being selfish and trying to feel better. Oh and what ended up happening is I had this random memory that I went to a church when I was a little kid, but we stopped going when I was like 8 years old. From my lens, minimal interaction there. Don't really remember much about it at all. But I remember that they had a refugee program. So I was like, sick. I'll Google the church and I'll sign up for this refugee program. So I Google this church and I fill in this like outreach application. And this is where it gets really wild. So what ends up happening is that outreach application never goes to the outreach department. But instead, the young adults pastor got an email, and I know it because I got to see it months later. And the email said, Victoria wants to reach out to the church. Here's her number, call her. And so the young adults pastor a week later calls me and is like, hey, I heard you want to come down to the church. Can I invite you to come this Thursday? Now, I think it's like the vetting process of like what Christians do. Like I had no idea. I just thought it was for refugees. But I remember I get invited to come to this church on a Thursday. So guys, like I rock up to this church, pretty sure like I'm like vaping on my way, like all the like, dude, like you can imagine the life I'm living, like all the things. And I remember like sitting in my car at the front of this church and being like, I can't go in there. Like, I'm such a bad person. Like, I'm going to burst into flames if I walk into that church. Like, I can't go in there. And I remember sitting in my car just like wrestling with myself. And I just heard this voice, and I believed that it was, you know, the voice of God. I didn't understand that at the time, but I just felt like it said like, Victoria, there's someone in there and they're waiting for you. Just go in. And so I was like, okay, I'm just going to go in there. And I end up word vomiting for hours to this young adults pastor. I sell porn. Everyone tells me that it's good, but it feels bad. And like, I think you can get my personality well enough by now. Imagine that totally unhinged for like 3 hours just telling some stranger that I sell porn. Like, and she was so beautiful. Like, she didn't do what I thought Christians would do. She didn't tell me that I'm going to burn in hell. She didn't judge me. She didn't condemn me. She just listened. And then at the end, all she goes is, we have a guest speaker who's coming to church this Sunday, and I really think you'll resonate with them. So I'd love to invite you to come to church. And so at this point, I'm like, all right, sure, whatever. And so I rock up to church on the Sunday, and guys, the guest speaker in church is talking about OnlyFans. What? Madness. Yeah. It was wild.
That's crazy.
She's talking about this over-sexualized culture, this over-pornified culture, and the reality of what's going on. And she travels around schools all around the country, and she sees firsthand what is happening to our young people. And she said this line, and this is what changed everything. She goes, Christians are supposed to be the salt and the light of the earth, and they have failed, and we are destroying the next generation. And it immediately clicked in my heart, and I went, oh my gosh, I am not crazy. What we are doing is wrong. This is bad. And I just knew. And so like, I'm like in the balcony, like at the back, but like literally when she finished speaking, I ran down to her and I went up to this stranger and I said, hi, my name's Victoria. I work for an OnlyFans agency and I hate myself. And again, didn't do what I thought Christians would do. She literally just goes, would you like to have lunch with me? And this beautiful woman sat with me for hours and just answered my questions. Isn't this like a safe injecting heroin room? Ethical porn, girl power, liberating all the lies that I believed. And she just spoke the truth to me. And what I think is so impactful about that day is I've had so many people in faith ask me, well, did they share the gospel? Did they Jesus you? Did they this? I said, no, I never did one of these. I never did anything like that because I wasn't a pet project to convert. I was just a human, and I was someone that needed someone's time and someone just to answer my questions. And it was so powerful and it was so impactful that literally I left that day and I never even remember someone talking to me about Jesus, to be honest with you. But I left going, I don't know what this Jesus thing is, but I have to follow it with all my heart. And so that was on the Sunday. By the Friday, I literally quit the agency. I walked away from a 13-year friendship, my dream business. I walked away from everything in my life. And 8 weeks later, I'm sober, I'm baptized. And literally 8 months later from there is when God sent me on my first international tour. And that's what I've been doing the past 2.5 years, traveling the world, speaking about OnlyFans and how Jesus radically changed my life in 5 days.
Whoa. Michelle's on, let the tears flow. Floodgates open.
Yeah.
oh, Michelle. I'm emotional too. We got some tissues on. No, wow. That is so beautiful.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if you want to share.
We can't talk.
Okay. That's so real. Wow. I mean, me and Michelle, especially Michelle, have been very touched by that. I mean, for me, when I was listening to you share that, especially how, like, you were saying how nobody was like, share the explicit gospel with you, right, in those few days, but they showed the character of Jesus to you. And that is everything. That is like, they showed all the fruits of the Spirit to you. They were patient with you, they were gentle, they were kind, they were loving. And I mean, that just speaks to who we're called to be as Christians, which is to be like Jesus and to not meet people with condemnation or judgment or hate or anger, but to meet them how Jesus would meet them. So yeah, I'm really like encouraged by that. I'm encouraged that you were met how you're supposed to be met, which is the way that Jesus would have met you. And I'm just very grateful.
So I think like obviously like on this platform we teach young people how to evangelize, and I think the most impactful way that I've encountered God is when somebody's just sat with me and when they've not like preached at my face, and they've just like asked me questions. How are you doing? And then I tell them and they're like, okay, should we go for lunch or something, And I just think that like that's so powerful because like Jesus didn't condemn the woman at the well or the woman with the issue of blood.
Yeah.
Michelle.
Yeah. Oh, it is. That's what I love about it. That's what I love. It's the simplicity and the purity of that. It's unconditional love. I was shown, like, my inauguration into faith was unconditional love. And I just think that that's so beautiful because exactly it meant that when I walked away that day, like, God is so powerful that he used those people. And again, I had no concept of Jesus or anything of the gospel, but I just knew there was something in my essence that knew I have to follow him. And it only took 5 days to be like, I can't bear this life anymore. Where, to be honest, if maybe someone did treat me more like a transaction, maybe I was just a number on a scoreboard of like, oh, let's get another person saved in church for like to look good or whatever. Yeah. Like maybe I would have left feeling even more confused, even less understood, less seen. And then been like, well, this person just said, like, I don't really know. And then like, who knows what would have happened? And I think that that's what's so powerful is we can be like, I'm really learning that in faith. People can be so quick to just dismiss or not take the time or be like, I'm going to tell you what I know you need. You have no idea what that person needs. Yeah. Maybe they don't need to hear that specific thing, but they need that. Maybe they do need the time, the encouragement. Maybe they need like just a hug. Like who knows what it is. But I love that the people that I interacted with had such wisdom to know that this is what Victoria needed. She needed someone to listen to her and she needed her questions answered. And that's how Jesus was able to just radically move. And I think that it's that beauty of like, how can we just slow down? How can we be good listeners? and then be like, Jesus, what do you want me to do in this situation? Not what do I think? And that's what transformed my life. Yeah.
Wow. Wow. That's amazing. And I think has probably been one of the main takeaways for me is not only learning about the reality and like taking off the mask of OnlyFans and getting behind that and teaching our young people what to steer clear of, which is you know, posting themselves in a certain way online because there are people out there that would want to use them to make money. And also for the young boys that might encounter those TikTok accounts or one of those unique videos being posted that it's literally being posted to trap them in, to lure them in. It's not like they're this crazy, it's not all on them. It's being pushed to them. But as well that then we can meet other people that have experienced that world, or just anyone that is coming into the church, to meet them with the kindness of God and to not be that person that's like, yeah, I know what you need, but to be somebody that listens, to be somebody that actually cares, like deep down, and to actually show compassion,
and ask like, what do you need?
And ask, what do you need?
Yeah, because if you think about it, we, all pray for revival, we pray for souls. And I'm like, but guys, imagine if 4.5 million people came out of OnlyFans within the next couple years because of our prayers. How would the church be equipped for that?
Right.
Would we be equipped for that?
Yeah.
Would people be able to know how to handle an inundation of people leaving? Because to be honest with you, I'm seeing the beginnings of it. Almost every single person that I've met that has left OnlyFans, it's because of Jesus. In wild ways. I had a girl message me that she was doing porn and in OnlyFans, and she just heard a voice say to stop, and she stopped. And then now she's been going to church. She just bought a children's Bible. Like she's doing, but she has no discipleship. Like she has no and she lives on the other side of the world from me, so I help where I can. But I'm like, the church needs to be so equipped because our prayers are being answered. People are leaving the sex industry. There is so much that is happening in that industry, and it is so exciting. But when they come into the church, they're looking for help. They're looking for answers. They're looking for support. And of course, don't hear what I'm not saying is in we need to be the replacement for Jesus. But the power is that we have the wisdom of God.
Yeah.
So we can sit there and be like, okay, we're having more and more girls come in. We're having more and more people that are impacted by this. And if this is the magnitude of it, imagine how many people are impacted. Again, maybe they're not necessarily doing OnlyFans, but how many young people in our church congregations are probably struggling with porn, struggling with lust, struggling with comparison, body shame, self-hatred, all these different byproducts from this OnlyFans culture. And what are we actually doing? Because the beauty of Jesus is it's incomprehensible freedom. That's what he paid for. That's what this story is. It's a story of freedom and not walking in shame anymore. And being able to say, look at what God did. And are we also facilitating that for other people in our church, And I think that, again, just to reiterate to people, the power of that is people sitting with me and taking time and answering my questions and listening to me and not judging me if it was a silly question or if I didn't understand. And that compassion, like the kindness of God, is what leads people to repentance. And that's as simple and as it was for me. It was the kindness of people that led me to repent, Yeah.
And would you say that that's what would you say are the other practical ways of helping people who are also just being equipped and as a church and ready, even just as young people, being, obviously I'm sure loads of our friends are struggling with it, and how can we be there for our friends? What would you say would be some practical things?
I think that sometimes it can be so overwhelming, right? There's so many problems in the world, and as believers, it's oh my gosh, there's another thing that I have to do this. I have to be patient and kind and caring, but also hope it, oh my gosh, it's a lot. It's it's actually really, really simple. And it comes from are you a friend of Jesus? It's crazy how simple it is. I don't have the capacity within me to be patient and to be a good listener and slow to speak and slow to anger and all of these things. But what I do have the capacity to do is every single day I can spend time with the Lord, intimate time with Jesus. And that is what gives me the capacity. That's what gives me the wisdom. That's what gives me the patience. And so a natural byproduct of if you value and put above everything else, especially as a young person, like a lot of us have the luxury of maybe we're not married yet, maybe we don't have children yet. We do have time.
Yeah.
We really do. And so why wouldn't you be? Like, even when I'm on tour and traveling the world, I still will spend time with God. Like, even if it makes me tired, even if it's whatever, maybe it's not hours. When I'm home, I have no excuse. I can spend hours with Jesus every single day. But wake up earlier, do what you need to do, because it's not worth it to not do it. It's actually that simple. And so what that can look like from a practical lens of like, well, what the heck does that mean? Go spend time with God. Like, sometimes it's as simple as I just put on like a worship set for like an hour in the morning, and I don't have my phone in my room. I don't sleep with my phone in my room. My phone is in the bathroom, and I have an alarm clock. And so that, I think, is the number one most important thing for like our generation. I'm 27. Get the phone out of the room. Wake up early in the morning and immediately do not touch it. Like, don't go near it. Put it in somewhere else. If you have a separate space that you can go to that space. It's so biblical, like having a dwelling place, like a place that you continuously go to pray. I just put on worship sets in the beginning. I didn't know how to do this. It's not like I had a formula, but sometimes I go for an hour, and sometimes I would just sing, I would dance. Sometimes I just lie there and be like, God, I don't know what I'm doing. And the power of God, he just comes and he wrecks me. And then I just keep it really achievable. Again, you don't have to do this. I'm hoping that, again, it's practicals. I read a chapter a day, and I just have questions that I answer. I have 4 questions. What is the context? What stood out to me? How do I see God in this? And Holy Spirit, what do you want to reveal to me? So I just read this chapter. I don't move forward from the chapter until I've finished my questions. And then that way I'm able to understand the Bible. I'm able to understand the context. I'm able to understand how I see God in this. And then I'm able to sit, because if you have to hear the Holy Spirit, right, you have to listen. You have to be silent. And I just write it all down, and that's just what it looks like. But from that, then it's like, I read this, I saw the characteristics of God in this, I understood this more. Then as a natural byproduct, I leave my quiet time.
Yeah, it's true.
And I'm able to just organically, because I think that that's what I'm noticing in faith world, is that people are like, oh, I have to try to do all these things. I have to be this, I have to. And again, it's putting more pressure on, and you don't need that unnecessary pressure. But if you can just get that foundation right and do that well, you're not going to feel this unnecessary pressure, because you're so just entangled with Jesus and his essence that it's just going to like ooze out of you. And so then when your friend comes to you and talks to you about porn, or maybe it gets brought up in a conversation or whatever, you're not then going to freak out and overanalyze of how do I handle it? What do I do? Because it's just going to leak out of you, you know? And so I think that that's really practical and really achievable for a lot of young people, is don't overcomplicate it. Jesus doesn't make us jump through hoops. He's actually really simple. He just wants a relationship, and he wants to be your best friend and your lover. And the way you do that is you just hang out with him, you know? And it's really that simple.
Wow. Those practicals, I mean, just so helpful. And like, I love how you like, just the essence of Jesus will flow through you. And it's so true. And I've experienced that even in my own life. And like, that practical is just so helpful. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm glad.
But yeah, like, thank you so much for coming and joining us and sharing your story, because it's been so powerful. Like, I'm still like,
#wrecked.
#wrecked.
So good.
And thank you for like exposing this and
Yeah.
like talking about it. And like, I'm sure people just hearing that alone of like, this is the marketing behind it. It's so like, it's full of deception. And like, I hope that awakens us. And like, all of us are just children, you know, we're children of God trying to figure and navigate this life out. And like, you talking about this is just so powerful. But even like, just within your story, there's so much hope. And that's what I feel really impacted by. It's just like, God just really reached out for you, and he's doing that to lots of people, and he wants to. But yeah, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. I am wrecked. Comment down below what your favorite section was, what's been powerful for you. There's freedom. We love you guys. So we'll see you in the next episode.
Thanks, Victoria.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.